Hi, and welcome back to another episode of the Straight Jacket Podcast. My name is 𝐃𝐨𝐧'𝐭. I'm your host today, and today I have Tanya with us. And Tanya is a administrator and officer in the Salvation Army, who also has 17 years of recovery.
Yes.
We were just joking, 17 years and no fronts, but almost an adult in recovery.
Almost. There you go.
Do you feel like there's a time in recovery where you get like that, like, I think I've got it?
Honestly, no. I'm always learning and growing. So I would have to say no. I don't feel like that. I work in the recovery world and learn so much every day from everybody, from people starting in their recovery and people still in their addiction. So I'm always learning and growing and changing.
That's a very human answer, I think it's also just like the humility that's necessary to stay in recovery for that long.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It's like
right?
a requirement, because you get a little lofty and then.
Yeah. It might be because I do see people that think they have it all the time. And then that arrogance leads back to the addiction.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why I'm careful. Maybe that's why, because I see it all the time.
It's a good thing to be,
Right.
And careful just means full of care, like you care about it. You know what I mean? So
yeah, that's a great way of putting it.
Yeah. Because I think people think it means like timid or scared or anything like that. And it's not. It's a very powerful word. It's
Right.
I care about this. And so I'm going to be full of care
Absolutely.
with this very fragile, beautiful thing that I have called life, and everything that I want to contribute to the world depends on it.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's where it's at.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about Tanya growing up.
So Tanya growing up, I grew up in Lawndale and Gardena.
Okay.
So not too far. And we were very poor. So my mother raised us on welfare, and my father, he lived in a pay-by-week motel on Crenshaw and Compton Boulevard, which was Marine later on. But, it was, and they didn't drink or do drugs. So, but I think just the area that I grew up in, well, actually my father did drink. I take that back, but I don't know that his drinking affected me too much.
Okay.
Maybe it did because he couldn't provide the way that he should have and things like that. But
alcoholism didn't seem to be like his.
No, it wasn't like he could function, and he never went to work drunk, and he never, it didn't seem like it was a problem. And he never was angry or anything like that. Right. So he was the weekend dad that we got to go over to his house, his motel, and swim. So the motel had a pool at it, and we got to go swim and, just have fun. So he was the weekend dad. However, at the motel, my aunt lived there and as well. And so my whole family really was way below the poverty level. Yeah. And I think the generational of that poverty too, I think that you're around people and you make choices that are different than just because of the poverty.
Absolutely.
Right?
You're exposed to so much more because unlike your parents, most people that are at that level of poverty are at that level of poverty because of addiction and use and generational use in prison systems and things like that. But even just being poor makes you want to do drugs because life is unbearable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's for me, there's some truth to that for sure. My aunt was a prostitute, and she would prostitute herself there on Crenshaw Boulevard. But she would take me out with her at 9, 10 years old so that I could sit next to her so that people would stop and inquire about me too, and then she would hop in their car and then she would come back and we would smoke the crack together that she got. So at 10 years old, I was smoking crack with my aunt, thinking it was the coolest thing in the world. But my uncle didn't want her smoking it at his house. So she just was like, okay, let me use this little kid to, I mean, they don't have any, anyways.
There's
So
also like a defense mechanism too, because when you have a kid with you, you look a little bit more innocent.
Right. Yeah. As an adult now, I can see how horrid that really is. Right. But as a child, it didn't affect me. I was like, okay, yeah, we're going out to get you more money. Right. And then she would come back, we would smoke the crack together in the bathroom, and this cycle would repeat, all the time. And, sexual trauma was also in my story, not from prostitution, but just from the lack of supervision in my family. Mom's in and out of the house, or just she's not working, but she's in and out of the house and not paying attention.
Men in and out
right.
as well.
And so sexual trauma was really a part of my earliest memories too. And so then foster homes became part of, in and out of foster homes and in and out of the system, because, people in authority, people at the schools would notice, hey, there's something wrong, right?
Wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But the system never really figured it out. And so they would place me back in the home, and then they would take me away again because another sexual trauma would happen, and another mom's boyfriend or neighbor, or just different things. And then they would take me away and then give me therapy, and then
Were you
put me back at
advocating
home.
for yourself at this point?
No, I wasn't advocating for myself. I didn't know how. Yeah. I was. The first, literally my neighbor sexually abused me when I was 4 years old. So, and that's one of my earliest memories, So, and then it was another neighbor, and then, I almost thought that at one point I was a magnet for it. That was normal in life, and that was normal what was supposed to happen. My mother's boyfriend, and just different people. Even
single and attentive mothers are targets of child molesters and predators.
Right.
They look for it. They are intentionally seeking them out.
Yeah.
Spot it a mile away.
Right. And that's obviously what was happening.
Right.
So going into foster homes and in and out of foster homes, and just the poverty, the sexual trauma, the and just the way that I grew up too, and gangs. And although I didn't get really too deep into gang life, all my friends were.
Yeah.
So, and that made me feel safe to be around them because they were tough, and
you felt protection for the first time of your life.
Right. And it wasn't, so it wasn't gonna
and that's the allure of a gang.
Right. It is. And I didn't get involved. So, but it was because, I got taken away when I was 12 and put in a foster home. How the last time happened, my older brother was sexually abusing me. And so I went to his probation officer, and I told his probation officer, and then I was 12 years old, and they came to my mom's house and told my mom, one of them has to go to a foster home.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, take her, because she's the one that I think will be okay, and he needs a lot of help. So she wanted to protect him, and
that must have hurt you.
Yeah, and the discarded feeling.
Ugh,
right?
That's the word.
Right.
Discarded.
Yeah, discarded.
That's exactly
so
what it is. Thrown away.
Right. And so I've dealt with that throughout my life as an adult too, how to protect myself from feeling discarded. Mm-hmm. But I was very lucky that my foster homes, I went to a couple foster homes, and each one of them taught me important things in life. And I wasn't abused at any of them.
That's good.
I felt safe. I felt loved. So at my first one, they taught me, it was just a temporary foster home. Respite care. But I was there for 6 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that first one, they taught me like how family was supposed to work.
Right.
And this lady lived right next to her grown daughter and her grandchildren. And they would come over and they were happy and they were protective and they threw parties and they celebrated and they talked around the table and they ate. And it was like learning how family was supposed to be for the very first time.
Yep.
And it was good. And it was so good.
I always say that you don't know what's not normal until you see the opposite of it. And that was the same for me. Yeah.
Yeah. And when they came to take me to my next foster home, I was just devastated. I was absolutely devastated to where at my next foster home I went to, and I think they had 6 or 8 other kids there. And I remember just acting out and acting, I was hurt, and they tried loving me and they tried their best. And it was there that I was introduced to Jesus for the first time.
Yeah.
And they were a Christian home. And, but with all my sexual history, the first thing I did was started sleeping with their son. So
that can't happen.
So once they found out, again, I felt discarded.
Yeah.
Right? Because they told me that they couldn't have me there anymore.
Yeah.
So, and they put me back in that first foster home, which kind of felt good, but I was just totally distraught. So I ran away and, acted out. I acted out a lot. And I became what I would say was an adult. That's when I met this guy that I...
Just to take you back for a second with the running away and then the acting out, those are 2 of our most basic nervous system reactions, and they are fight and they are flight.
Absolutely.
And when we are in these places where we don't feel safe and we have this nervous system regulation, which thank God I'm working with foster kids now, and they know so much more and they're doing so much more than they used to. But the nature of that is fight and flight. Yeah. And it's not a behavioral or conduct issue. It's a nervous system dysregulation issue because there's so much frickin' trauma that's the only thing you're literally overriding choice with your most primitive, basic reactions to survive.
Right. So, just to be honest, I'm finally dealing with that now with EMDR in my life.
Good.
I'm finally dealing with the trauma and all of that stuff. So just now in my life.
Proud of you. It's hard
how
work.
How crazy, huh?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But absolutely. So, ran away and met this guy and, traveled to, Kansas with him. And
Ain't nothing in Kansas but a guy.
Right? And I was I think I was 15 at this point, 15. And I had met this guy actually when I was 11 years old at the
How old was he?
So he's 2 years older than me, 2.5 years older than me. So not too much older.
Okay.
But he's still older, right? But he was somebody that could protect me, and he was somebody that could help me through, and somebody that I loved, and somebody that was able to provide. So I remember the first time that I went to his house. I'm jumping ahead, but the first time I went to his house, he was in this big, gigantic house. Like I don't even know if I'd seen houses like that in the movies at that point, right? And I was like, I remember thinking at 15 years old, I've got to keep this guy. Like, I've got to make this guy mine, right? Because this is going to help me for the rest of my life. I remember thinking that. And just being like, yeah, this is the one for me, based on the size of the house that he was in.
Right.
I mean, and it was such a beautiful house. It was in Fallbrook, California, and just like avocado groves. And I just like, absolutely stunning, right? So anyways, I run away with him. He goes to Kansas. I run away with him, and the foster system came and picked me up again from Kansas.
Did you guys get pulled over or something?
You know what? I really don't even remember how
they found out where you were.
Yeah, but they sent me back to California and into another foster home where I really learned how to fend for myself, how to ask questions, how to navigate things a little bit better. They helped me think for myself at that foster home. Like, I think I was 16. I don't know. It all blurs together, but, and then the guy, he moved back to California, and I moved in with him again. And, we've been married now for 33 years. So,
oh my goodness.
And a true, a story of, I got to meet my husband when I was 11, and I've done every part of my life with him, addiction. And, he's always been my safety person, my person that I can run to and be with. Hasn't always been great, right? 'Cause we went through our addiction together as well, but,
take me there.
Yeah.
Take me there, because you moved into his house.
Yeah.
And he and you obviously used together.
Right.
Did that happen right away?
So, when I went into that, when I ran away and I seen that house, by the way, this is a funny story. I just got to tell you. So, I found out, so I went back to where I was living, and, 'cause at that point I just went for the weekend. Like, I ran away for the weekend, and I went to go see him in Fallbrook, and, 'cause he had moved out there. He was raised in Wilmington, and I had met him through my ex-boyfriend, who had brought him to that motel that I used to live at. And anyways, so that's how I met him. And he was at this house, but I found out that he was just house sitting. So I ran away. I ran away that weekend to go stay with him when he was house sitting. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is the most magical thing ever. Right. And so then I was telling him that I'm going to be beat. Like, I can't go home. They're going to kill me. Like, all these horrible things, which wasn't going to happen, by the way. Everybody was missing me, but I wanted to stay. So, and, so he sent money for me. Like, he had to take care of me. So he sent money for me. And I went back, and I thought I was going to go back to this big, beautiful house. And he lived in his grandma's trailer in the back room. It was like a bait and switch.
No, but that's hilarious, because I feel like we do attract like attracts like. So it's like there were a lot of things that you probably wouldn't have been able to relate on had it been somebody who grew up in that big old house,
Right.
Yeah, there's certain things that you've seen, that he's seen, that, you guys energetically are like, there was definitely point and purpose 33 years later.
Right. Yeah. Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So coming from a poverty situation to, I thought I was coming up. Right.
Yeah.
And to find out, right, that he was in a poverty situation too.
Yeah.
But by that point, I was already hooked.
Yeah.
So when I went up there, when I went back to his grandmother's house, and I moved in with him that weekend, and I was just, trying to be big and tough. He didn't really, he had used drugs, but he wasn't using drugs at that point.
Yeah.
And I was like, let's go get some meth. Like, come on, let's go party, just trying to be big and bad and like adult, right? Because here I was 15 and I had grown up fast though. And so we went and we got some meth that weekend, and it started let me see, I was 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, like 4 years of addiction. And it took us down some pretty hard and bad roads.
Take me to one of your darkest moments.
So I think that the darkest moment would be, an altercation where we're just beating the crap out of each other.
Yeah.
Right. And the cops had to be called, and, I'm throwing a Gatorade bottle at him and breaks the window. And, it's just, I guess that's the darkest, the darkest time
that you love.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And we're just physically assaulting each other. And he goes to jail, and we split up, and we're done with each other, and I guess that was the time. I was 18 at that time, 18, 19, almost 19. And my father had to come and get me, and
good old motel dad.
Right. And, we just, we had separated, and we weren't going to get back together, and it was done. And so he went to a treatment for 6 months. And I, lived life for 6 months without him, got my own apartment and lived life. And I thought it was just going to be over.
Yeah.
And, he was going to go to Kansas to be with his mom again. But he was on probation, and Kansas didn't want him.
Yeah.
So he asked if he could stay with me for a little bit, and then we got back together.
Of course.
So, yeah. And then we did couples counseling, and I did a lot of therapy. I love being in therapy. It's helped me so much over the years.
I love therapy.
So, I did individual therapy, we did couples therapy, and he did, 6-month treatment, and we got sober together after that. And we bought a house, and we had a baby, and we actually became foster parents because, of my time in foster care. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a foster parent, and we had a total of 3 foster kids with us. And then we found out that my husband, he needed a surgery. I think it was something stupid and simple.
Yeah.
But I remember the doctor coming out to me afterwards, and I'm like, I think I'm about 21, 22 at this point. And the doctor came out to me, and he told me, your husband has got to stop drinking because he's going to die. And I said, my husband doesn't drink. And he's like, well, he's at the bars or something without you knowing, because his liver is pretty bad. Like, there's no way that you can tell me that he's not drinking. Yeah. Like, and he was persistent and mean about it too, this doctor. And I was like, that's not my husband. Like, I know my husband. I know he's clean. I know he's sober. And I know that that's not who he is. So the nurse came out, and the nurse happened to be one of our friends before, on the outside of this surgery thing. And she said, well, let's test him for Hep C, because maybe that's what it could be. So this was in the 1999, 2000. So it was really early in the Hep C. Anyways, they put him on that's what it was Hep C. And they put him on some medication that just made it to where he couldn't provide. I was a stay-at-home mom, and
it wrecked him.
It did. It wrecked him. It was bad. Like, it was a cancer. Like, it made him not be able to get up, and not be able to function.
So it was like either die or live a life like you're dying.
Or what we found was painkillers would make it to where he could.
I was like, meth gets you out of bed.
Well, and then it went from painkillers to meth. Yeah. Because he didn't taper off the medication like he was supposed to. They gave him OxyContin and,
of course, they were giving everybody.
Just loads of it.
Yeah.
Loads of it. Enough to where I was taking it. He was taking it.
Neighbor was taking it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
We were flush.
And then it came time to where they weren't going to give it to him anymore. And we were like, it was a conscious decision. Like after 4 years of recovery, it was a conscious decision. We had, foster kids. We had everything. We had a house. We had a trailer. We had everything that we wanted in life. Our own kid, like everything. And but he was so sick. And anyways, and it was a conscious decision. And he said, well, we could go to the neighbor, because the neighbor was a truck driver. Mm-hmm. And we were like, we could go to the neighbor and ask if he knows where to get some meth.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, let's do it. So,
just waiting.
Right.
Waiting for the opportunity.
Right. So that's the next point. It took us down another 6 years of just absolute destruction to our relationship, to our lives, to ourselves, to each other, to...
How long did it take before the foster kids were removed, or how did that...
So we decided that we didn't want to adopt them.
Okay.
And I think they decided, the foster system decided that we couldn't adopt them too, because my husband had Hep C. So at that point, it was a death sentence is what they told us. And so it was kind of, they got adopted. The two of them got adopted to a friend of a friend, like right away. And so they were gone, and my daughter was with us. And it was, I would say about a month or two before they were gone. And then our house burnt down. About a month or two after they were gone. And then our boat was repoed, and it just like everything just was gone within, I would say, 6 months. But we had this money from our house burning down.
Yeah. And
so we had even a bigger addiction than we could have even thought was possible.
Yeah.
So because we had all this money. And so then we were dealing drugs and running, and it just...
The natural progression.
Right. And it was fast. It was really fast. And it took us several years to go through the money, and to my husband lost his job, and we didn't care because we had money.
Yeah.
So nothing bothered us. Like, and then insurance
consequences weren't hidden.
No,
what was happening. Yeah.
And the insurance would just pay. They would pay the rent of a nice apartment, so that because while we decided that we were going to rebuild this house ourselves.
Yeah.
So it took longer. And then it never actually got done. So anyways, so we ended up leaving that whole situation, and I don't even remember how. Oh, now I remember. We decided, so at that point we lived in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Okay.
We had moved out there, and because that's where my dad ended up living. So we moved out there when I was 19. And I told my husband at that point, well, when my dad dies, not thinking that he would die for many, many years.
Right.
That I should still be living in Albuquerque. I said, when my dad dies, then we can move back to California. But I want to stay in Albuquerque until my dad dies. But he died a couple years later. So he died of breast cancer a couple years later. And then by this time, there was just so much drugs and so much destruction that we decided to move back to California.
Yeah.
Like the drugs weren't there or something. I don't even know. But we moved back to California, And we moved about 3 blocks away from the Salvation Army. So, and we were still in our addiction. When we moved, drugs were there too.
Yep.
They always are.
They're everywhere you want them to be.
They're right? As soon as we moved back to California, that was the first thing we did. We moved to try to get away from them. That's what we agreed upon. But
you met the dealer the next day.
Yes.
It literally happened that fast. He's your neighbor.
Exactly. Yeah.
At that point.
Exactly.
What's
funny is we were actually dealing drugs from California to Albuquerque. So how we thought we were going to come to California and just stay away from I just don't, it doesn't even make sense. I don't know.
But a lot of
we were closer to the dealer, right? Than further away. Anyways, so we moved back, and it just so happened that we moved 3 blocks from the Salvation Army, about 3 blocks. And I didn't know what the Salvation Army was. And actually, they had a store, and I would go to the store and buy little pieces of furniture here and there for our house. And I thought that's what the Salvation Army was a thrift store. I didn't know anything else about the Salvation Army. And they have the McDonald's lady, Joan Kroc. She had left like over $1 billion to the Salvation Army, and before she passed away, she actually was on the committee that just built this place that was 3 blocks away from where I lived. And I still didn't know it was a Salvation Army facility. I just know that it had an ice skating rink, and it had a church, and it had a Girl Scout troop, and it had this place where I could go. And I was still getting high at this point, but I was taking care of my daughter, and as best I could, I thought I was in control because I would only do meth in the morning, and at night, and by noon I would cut it off so that I could sleep every night and then I was thinking my husband was the one that had the problem, and I needed to care for him and help him get off of it so that I could hide my drugs. I mean, just stupid stuff. Yeah. Right.
Makes sense though.
And we started going to the Salvation Army, this Kroc Center, and, we started going, and they had this free family dinner that I was like, oh my gosh, free dinner, and I don't have to cook. I can take my daughter, and they invited me to stay too. And I was like, okay, and by this time it's at night, and I probably looked a little bit more decent. I don't know if I did or not, but they invited me in, and they invited me to stay for dinner, and it was a family style dinner. So I got to know other moms and other kids, and, it just felt like a family environment. And my husband,
safe.
Right, it felt safe. It really did.
And as a boss, we're always looking for somewhere that feels safe.
Always.
Yeah.
And that's what this place was. So my husband, I guess a couple years later, a year and a half later, because I found out that I was pregnant. Had another baby while I was there, used while I was pregnant, and had a little boy, and just lots of things happened. But then my husband one night got in a DUI accident.
Did you keep the baby?
Yes. Okay. So I did keep the baby, he's 20 now. Okay. So that's how long ago this was. And my husband got in a DUI accident the night that he was going to go to this place, to this Kroc Center where we were going to have a free family dinner together. I had finally talked him into going, but he stopped by the liquor store and got alcohol instead, ended up in jail, and just, at his rock bottom. Yeah. And that was when I called the pastor at the Salvation Army, and I said, my husband is in jail and he wants help, but I don't know how to get him help. And I remember the pastor, he hung up on me, which was kind of rude, but
very rude.
And then he called me back 5 minutes later, and he goes, I got your husband a bed. And I was like, a bed? like at a recovery center. So he's like, I'll be there at 5 a.m. Monday morning. You got to keep him sober though till Monday morning. So he gets out of jail. The guy comes and picks him up at 5 a.m. Monday morning, takes him somewhere. I didn't know where he was taking him.
Just like this undisclosed location.
Yeah.
Like,
he
just
told
take
me,
him, whatever, I'll
he
trust you.
told me, you're not going to be able to talk to him or see him for 30 days, but we're going to get him treatment. And I was like, okay. And it's going to be free and it's not going to cost you anything. And, you know, it's going to be okay. We're going to help. And I was like, oh my gosh, the church to the rescue, right? Like I had no idea that they could even do something like that. So, my husband had gotten disability checks and I was going to be able to pay the rent. And I mean, we had it kind of planned out that weekend. And what happened was they took him to the Salvation Army Rehabilitation Center in downtown San Diego. And I remember he got a hold of a phone the first week or so that he was there.
He got a hold of you.
And he got a hold of me and he said, you need to get me out of this place. This is the worst place in the whole world.
I've heard similar stories, but they have they have a good success rate for people who stay, and it's because it is that way. Like they're strict.
Strict. Exactly. Yeah. He's like, they have me hanging panties, and I don't know what that has to do with recovery, but
whose these are.
I already
where
know
they're coming from.
So that's not something that I need. So get me out of this place.
It's about humility.
And who would know that, you know, all these years later, we would be running exactly one of those centers just like that he was in, right?
Oh, but you can see God's plan all through it.
All through it.
Like, it's literally hilarious the way that the pattern connects.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So take me to your recovery. Take me to that moment before where you say enough is enough. Where's your rock bottom and where do we find recovery?
So first I got to tell you that, so my husband is in that center and, I'm still using because I'm the one that thinks like, oh my gosh, he is the one with the problem.
Right.
Like he's the one that does all these stupid things, gets, you know, is always being stupid. He's the one that stays up for 5 days at a time and sees things and does things that are stupid, right? Yeah. And I'm perfectly fine having a couple hits.
Manageable.
Right? A couple hits in the afternoon helps me clean, right? I'm perfectly fine. Don't need any help. But what happens is the disability checks don't come because he actually has to go see a doctor and he can't leave the place to go see the doctor. So it leaves me homeless with my 2 kids. Yeah. And he doesn't know that that's what's happening because he can't get a hold of me. He can't talk to me. Yeah. And he has to stay in this rehabilitation center. So I end up leaving the home, becoming homeless. And what ends up happening after a couple weeks, I went to a motel. The city gave me a voucher for a couple weeks in a motel. But then the Salvation Army in San Diego has it's called the Door of Hope. It's a
women's chapter,
women and children homeless shelter. And so I end up getting in there, and I love it. It's the first time that I really have been able to support myself, my kids, and know that I could do it without my husband. And I don't have to rely on him for his money. I don't have to be with him anymore. It's the first time that I really chose to be with him. Yeah. Instead of having to be with him. It's that trauma. It's that first thing where I said, "Oh my gosh, this is a big, beautiful house. I have to be with this guy." Right. And, I used him for the security and the money and of course I loved him and everything, but I didn't.
What he could provide was a big part of it.
And, so at the shelter, they taught me how to get a job and how to provide and how to do all these things. But I still wasn't committed to sobriety. I still wasn't committed to that. So I remember going to my mother's house and one of my brothers was there and I used with him that weekend. And it was my daughter's birthday. It was her 10th birthday. And I remember it was the night before her 10th birthday. And I remember I got really high with my brother that day. And I thought, what the heck am I doing? I could get kicked out for this.
Yeah.
So I went back to the homeless shelter the next day or the day after, something like that. They gave me a pass to be gone for the weekend for my daughter's birthday, and went back, and I had a therapist there that I was able to be honest with. And I don't know why she didn't tell them, because I would have been removed from the center, but she didn't.
Yeah.
And that through working through that therapy, and that is what was my turning point. That was when I decided that she helped me decide that I wanted to be sober for the rest of my life. And when I think about drugs, when I think about getting high or something like that, I've trained my brain to go back to that moment where I was getting high at my mom's house and going, I could lose everything.
Yeah.
And so that's where my brain goes back to. If I think about it, it's like, oh my gosh, that's a stupid decision, right? And it's not going to bring me anything. It's not going to bring me any glory. I'm going to lose everything, and I'm going to end up
to lose.
I do. And I got to tell you this part, because this is so cool. 4 years ago, my husband and I decided to adopt through the foster system. So because we just, all this, I as a teenager, I seen kids in the foster system that just wanted a family.
They just want
and
love.
That's it. And they were good kids, good kids. So we actually started the journey to adopt a couple years before this, but we actually found a child to adopt by accident, by God. Right?
By Godcident.
By Godcident.
Yeah.
I love that, because that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And we adopted Henry 4 years ago. We met him in a foster home that was going to be his permanent adoptive home, but they couldn't. Just like I couldn't with my with the kids earlier on in my life, and they couldn't adopt him. And so they sent out this this thing asking for somebody to adopt him, and I seen it, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is my son. I knew from the second I saw his picture that was going to be my son. And so we met him one weekend. He stayed with us the next weekend, and he stayed with us the next weekend again, and then he moved in as our son the weekend after that. Just that quick, because we were already certified foster parents looking to adopt, but so we got to adopt Henry from the foster system, and now he's 16, and just the joy of our life. Like, they're the greatest kid too. He has his own trauma past, but just the best kid I could have ever hoped to adopt. And
it's so inspiring to me, because I'm in a position where that's my foster care is my story too. And, I'm mentoring now. God has provided that opportunity to me. And I know that eventually I will be a foster parent. I've always said it. I'm probably going to wait till I'm 60 and done with all my tears in the world and career things and whatever. But whenever it's time, that's definitely something that, I think it's something that you don't understand unless you've been through, and it gives you just a really deep understanding of these kids, and you're in a perfect position. Your story puts you in a perfect position to help in a very unique way.
Yeah. I couldn't imagine anything better. And I knew from the beginning, and so did my husband, that we wanted to adopt a teenager. And
nobody wants to adopt a teenager,
right? And I still, that's possibly something that we'll do again. We'll see. Right now, our home is full because my daughter is living with us, my 27-year-old, and she is in her 3rd year of becoming a doctor.
I love
Who
that.
would have guessed that 2 addicts with all our past would be able to raise somebody that would become a doctor, right? And our 20-year-old, he is a computer scientist. So he's just a computer genius, loves people, and just so so proud of him and all he's accomplished too, and all he's had to overcome because, he had some issues from me using drugs in the womb, and he's been able to overcome those to the best of his ability and go to college, and he doesn't give up, and he just keeps going. So yeah, and I have 2 grandkids. I have a 6-year-old grandkid and a granddaughter and a 2-year-old granddaughter that are just, I'm so glad that they get to live with me.
You're so rich.
I am. Like, that's it, right?
You're so rich.
That's it. Yeah. Like, I get to, I love that they all live at home with me. So
you got your family.
I do. And
a family that little girl needed.
Yeah. And the Salvation Army really has been that family for me too. That's what ended up happening in our story is, he did finish the program and he stayed, and, we started volunteering at the church, at the Kroc Center there together. We became, just different things that they needed. So at one point we were the youth pastors. At one point we were teen Sunday school leaders, and just 5 years of just being there, we decided that we would go to seminary school and become, get our degree and become pastors in the Salvation Army. And then how the Salvation Army works is they place you, after graduation, they place you in different, what they call appointments. So different things.
Roles, different
roles.
Yeah.
And at first we were pastors of a church in Aurora, Colorado. So that's where we graduated, and they moved us there to Aurora, Colorado. And after Aurora, they put us in the recovery arena in
perfect.
Right. And now that's what we get to do is, for the last 8 years, my husband and I together serve people that need recovery and need a better place. And so I think over the last 8 years, we've probably had 4,000 or 5,000 people that have come through our center that we've been able to
impact.
Yeah, impact. And this is my husband and I, we want to love them until they can love themselves.
Yeah.
And then love them like Jesus would, and that's our goal, is just to help each person that comes through our center love God and love themselves.
I love that. And you are absolutely doing that. And for you to, and this is just another way, you being here today is just another way for you to do that. You know what I mean? So it's a really beautiful thing. What do you have to say to the person struggling right now, whether that's with recovery, they can't figure it out, and they just need some words of hope?
Well, I would say don't give up, first of all. There's always, as long as there's breath in your body, there is still hope for a better life. But unfortunately, not everybody gets to have breath in their body. So you have to find something, and you have to find recovery. You have to look for it. You have to find somebody that's in your recovery circle, or go to AA meeting, go to an NA meeting, go to, there's
seek it. Yeah.
You got to seek recovery. There is help out there though. And you can do it. Yeah. That's it. You can do it. You can have a better life. And
living proof.
Yeah. Yeah. I never thought that I could be sober, or that I even wanted to be sober.
Yeah.
That's a big one. I never thought that I always thought that I wanted to be married to the biggest, baddest dope dealer, so that he could protect me with all the drug empire and all the money, and that was my goal in life. That was absolutely my goal in life.
Well, we make goals and God laughs.
Right. I'm so glad. Right. I'm so glad.
Me
so
too.
yeah. And now I get to have this story of how God has really, how I've given my life to Jesus, and he has in turn given my life to me. I don't know if that makes sense or not.
No, that was a bar. That was definitely,
Yeah.
You gave your life to Jesus and he gave your life to you.
Yeah.
That was beautiful. Well,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you so much for coming here today, sharing your story. It was an honor. Thank you for trusting me with it.
Thank you for allowing me to.
Yeah, of course. And that is another, that's another episode of the Straight Jacket podcast. If you or anyone you love is struggling with mental health, substance abuse, needs to find their way into recovery, go to mentalhealthresource.com, fill out a form, and we will get you in touch with some help. All right. We will see you next time. Love you.